Okay, welcome back to Mr. Turner's art class. Today we're going to be working on a value project. Okay, I've been working with my students on, the lightness and darkness of colors, So I think I had them do a value scale last week, and I think we're going to play on that lesson to create a some kind of background, something scenic. I had an idea, and I'm going to show you how you can use the concept of a value scale to create, I don't know, a mountain range. So, only thing you're going to need for this project is really a pencil. I don't care what kind of pencil you use, just make sure you have a pencil. You have a drawing pencil, great. You know, you can use graphite, charcoal, whatever, but regular pencil will do. I'm going to make this small so you can see it. The reason I'm going to make this small is so I can hurry this up and I can show you what you're basically going to be doing. You're going to have to be creative yourselves and create some kind of this part here I'm going to be messy. Trust me, this is going to look good by the time I get done with it. I'm just creating a border right now. I'm just making my border look any kind of way, and you will see a mountain range out of this. So what I'm going to draw is going to fit inside there. And yes, I am making it scratchy just because, like I said, I am going to turn this into something. This is going to be small. You will be able to see it. You will see a mountain range in just a second. Okay, so I do a lot of hiking, and one thing that I love is if I go hiking along some mountains, especially like early in the morning, I love the way the mountains look. There's a thing in art called atmospheric perspective, and we can use value to kind of create that illusion of mountains off in the distance, and they just kind of fade away. Look at, they're fading away into nothing. Now if you notice, I'm just making kind of a bunch of random lines, okay, which looks like a mess, but trust me, we are going to make this look like some mountains in just a second. This is going to look nice by the time we get this done. And matter of fact, I am going to do that. We're just going to put a little circle up there for the sun. We'll put like little clouds right there. If we want to go back and we want to dress that up, we can. Now, those of you that worked on the value scale project, you remember that we had like little blocks, and each block was a value leading from black going up to white. Now, technically, if I wanted to, I can do just that. Each one of these are a value. Matter of fact, if I number it before I shade it, I'm just going to do 1, 2, let's say 3. I'm gonna say that's 3 because it's all on the same. Even that's another mountain right there. That's on the same line. Let's come over here. Let's just say 4. Let's do 5, 6. Okay, and the skyline itself 7. All right, so I have 7 values. Okay, so I am going to start off down here, and just like before, I need to make this black. Now I am going to rush this. I am going to rush this, and I'm going to try to make this look as neat as possible, but you will get the idea. We need to shade everything in at the bottom here black. And remember how I was telling you how to hold your pencil? So you need to see that in action. So we need to get all the bottom black, as dark as possible. You got to definitely stay inside the lines. We want this to look neat. You can go in different directions. Just make sure you get rid of that scratchiness. Remember, we do not want this looking scratchy. You want to try to get it as dark as possible, so realistically you're going to be probably going back over this thing. So that's why I'm actually shading in different directions. But I don't want too many little streaks. And come all the way over. We're going to get this all good and dark. And I want that those lines to look jagged. I mean, up at the top, make it look jagged, mounds are jagged. It'll give the illusion that they're rocks. I'm gonna go back over just a little bit more, especially at the top. Like I say, we want it good and dark for that pencil. Alright, so we got the first level. Alright, so that first level of the mountain range is black. Now, we need to come up here to number 2, value number 2. I'm going to start off shading it light. Make sure you stay in the lines. I'm going to look at it and be like, okay, well, should this be darker? Can this get darker? And yes, it can. And it really doesn't matter if I come over here because this is already black. So, you know, if I get extra graphite or whatever on that, that really doesn't matter. Just make sure you don't cross over into here. Don't go up. Which I can tell you right now, I do need to make this a little bit darker. See, the trick to this little project here is yes, you're going to make another value scale. And what has to happen is going to give the illusion that these mountains are fading off into the distance. That is the whole atmospheric perspective concept. Now, I am going to get into y'all about perspective. Usually when artists talk about, in art school, they talk about perspective. It's usually like you're drawing a hallway or some train tracks or something like that. Everything is leading off to this single point called the vanishing point. But you can also do cool little stuff like this with background, with affecting value, and give the illusion that something is disappearing off in the distance. Now, as I come up, what I'm doing is I'm using less pressure. So this should look like a gray. And again, I want this to be smooth looking. I can probably make this darker, so I'm going to go back over it with some more graphite. Let me see. A lead, or should I use one of my drawing pencils for this? But I don't have one, so I'm going to use a pencil. Use what you got. Okay, so I still think this one right here can get darker, so I'm going to go back over it. I just don't want it as dark as number 1. So I'm going to add some more to that. I want that to be a little bit darker. Just a little bit more. So let's just go back. Add some more to it. At least around here. I definitely want it to be dark around here. Okay, so we got number 2. Now, this is where we're gonna come up to number 3. We're gonna do the exact same thing. I'm turning it sideways because it's a little bit easier for me and it's faster. And I am going to do a little trick. Yes, I must make number 3 lighter than number 2. However, I am going to start my whole little illusion that this thing is fading off in the distance. So down here at the bottom, I am going to let that be a little lighter. And you don't have to do this. I mean, you could just make this whole thing a light gray if you want. I'm being kind of cute. I probably just need to make it light gray. If I want to, I can sit here and make this thing look realistic, but I think that's going to confuse you. So I'm gonna stop playing around, and I'm just gonna do what's on my first mind. I'm just gonna keep this a lighter color before I mess around and confuse y'all, and y'all stuff be out of order, and that will be my fault. Be a bad teacher. So we're just gonna make this a gray color. this up here, I'm gonna say, since it's another mountain range, this is gonna sit before this one, so I'm gonna make this one right here. I guess I am gonna make this just a little darker than this, just a little, not much, just to give the illusion that there is another mountain right there, a smaller mountain range right there. And I'm telling you, if you have never gone hiking before, I would say this is a good time to do it. Go hiking, take a sketch pad with you, take pictures. You know, I'm telling you, sun rising up over some mountains, beautiful. Take pictures, take a sketch pad, you can draw what you see. I mean, it's great, it's relaxing. Okay, so I'm leaving this little area down here kind of white, so it makes it look like it's a little bit of a glow. So I can't help myself. I have to do something. You know, I just can't do right. It's the artist in me. Okay, so now I'm gonna come back up here. I'm gonna probably do the same thing. This is gonna be lighter than number 3. So basically, each time I come up, I'm making these lighter and lighter. So there's barely going to be anything in number 5. I don't even know if you will be able to see it on the camera. But it's going to be a really light gray. And matter of fact, around here, I want a lot of white to show through, just so you know that those mountains, I want those mountains like they're fading off in the distance. Now, some of them at the top, I have to do it. You know, I'm going to make it a little bit dark, just at the top of the mountain, just to give that little illusion. I have to. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do the same thing right here. I just can't help myself, because it's gonna bother me. I'm telling you, I'm OC. I want the top of some of the mountains just to stay a little bit dark, and it fades. This is my picture. Sometimes the mountains, you know, if you've seen snow, they might have a little bit of snow on it, so we'll make it look like this, like that, so it's like it's fading off in the distance. Okay, so I'm gonna come up here to 6. I am barely gonna put anything in that, except at the top, the very tips. I'm gonna make the tips dark, but the rest of it's gonna be real light, pale. There's barely anything in 6. Come over here, put a little bit. And see, I am barely putting any pressure with my pencil. Come over here. I can make that a little. Yours doesn't have to look like mine, and that's one thing I'm about to tell you now. I mean, you can come up with any kind of design for this. I mean, because all it is are jagged shapes. As long as you have the shapes coming up. Matter of fact, I need to make that darker so to make that show up a little bit better. Push down on that a little bit more. That's going to bother me if I don't get that looking right. I want that dark. Let me go back, because I feel like I'm losing my mountain range right there. Get rid of those little white spaces. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. So that making that black makes the rest of this start to stand out a little bit more. Now I'm gonna come back up to my skyline. Now the sky, I'm gonna go ahead and just make it like a kind of a grayish color. I don't want to lose my sun, so let me just do that. Put some little clouds. You want to, matter of fact, let me put some little birds, like birds will be flying that. I'm just making the little McDonald's sign, some little M's. So you put some little birds flying around. And I can make this color up here It's going to be like a dark gray at the top, and it's going to fade as it comes down, so it'll be look like there's a glow on top of the mountains. That's, and this is like totally random, like how I'm doing this. So matter of fact, now that I think about it, I'm gonna come back up here. Let's make that a little bit darker, just at the very top. And as it comes down, I am getting lighter with my pressure. I don't want anything dark on top of the mountains. I want it to look like the mountains are glowing. I probably should have had the sun. It's like over one of the mountains. I probably should have just made like a little loop like right there to show the sun is there. Okay, maybe the sun's setting. Okay, so this is kind of how you would do this project. There is no wrong way to do this. Okay, it is just making a value scale. You do not have to make this exactly like mine's. Okay, the concept is make a bunch of jagged lines. You know, something that looks like mountains. Matter of fact, you can go on Google and type in a mountain range, Google Images, and try to make an outline of some mountains. Give yourself at least 5 to 6 values. Each mountain range will be a value. Start off at the bottom, make it black. You go black, dark gray, gray, light gray, and just kind of make your way towards a section of white. Now, if you're going to do a skyline, I would kind of reverse it a little bit, and at the top up here, I would make it a little dark, and as I shade coming down, I would make it light. Okay, but leave a little white space around the top of the mountains, so it looked like the mountains are glowing. But there's no wrong way to do this. This is actually a fairly simple project. If you did a value scale, that is honestly all you are doing, is you are making a value scale. You're just making them appear to be like mountains. You know, mountains are nothing but triangles. Just make a bunch of triangles. You know, just literally, you could literally come across this paper if you want to. Okay, mountain range number 1, and just kind of offset them. Don't make them the same. Just mountain range number 2. You see where I'm going with this? 3. I'm not even thinking about how I'm doing this. You see what I'm doing? 4. There's no right or wrong way to do this. I mean, I'm just making a bunch of random lines. Let's say that's 5, and then you have your skyline up here. And like I said, you can either put your sun up there, or you can do like a half sun, like your sun is setting. Y'all can see that right there. You can put the sun up there, put the sun right there, and just shade it. Okay, number 1 is black, number 2 is dark gray, number 3 is light gray. Is gray, 4 light gray, 5 is lighter than 4. You know, work your way to white. It's just a value scale. So by the time you're done, make your drawing come across the page. I need a whole page. Okay, I only made this small just so I could hurry this up with the time. I don't want this video to be real long. But this is how you can use value to create a value scale to create atmospheric perspective. Okay, basically make it look like the mountains are fading off in the distance. You know, just have fun with it. When you get done, you're gonna submit it like always. Make sure you submit it in Schoology, and you will get your grade when I get a completed drawing. If you have any questions, anybody have any questions, whether you're in my class or not, just feel free to, call me. send me a message and I'll respond back to you. You know, all artists need to understand how to manipulate value. So, you know, this is a fundamental here. So have fun, and I will see you next time.